Hey, what's up, everybody? And welcome to the Mentally Fit Creative Diary. Today, we're talking about. Um, well, actually, let me do the usual intro. I guess it's welcome to the Mentally Fit Creative Diary, where we take a daily journaling prompt that we are doing for our journal, and creating an audio journal diary. For you, for me, for introspection. Hopefully, the insights and the venting and all of these different things help you to get through tough times for yourself, or even if there are no answers, just to be clear that there's nothing, that you're not alone. And that's the ultimate hope with this. That being said, jumping right in, our prompt for the day is: what is one thing that you're worrying about that is beyond your control, and how can you let it go? And I think this is a great question. Because I am the king of worry. I am the king of anxiety. I am the king of just overthinking. I overthink almost everything. And it's weird because I used to take it as a badge of honor, sitting back and knowing that my brain was always going. Like, my mind is always going. It's always on 10, trying to figure it out. And I used to take that as a badge of honor. And now it's like, now as I get older, now as I'm starting to gain more perspective on the world, I'm starting to realize that it's exhausting. It's exhausting to have your brain going and going and going all the time. That being said, I think now I'm craving peace. But one of the hardest parts about craving peace is knowing how to get it, knowing how to truly get it. That being said, specifically, what am I worrying about right now that's beyond my control? Better question, what am I not worrying about that's beyond my control? I'm just kidding. But truth be told, I try to practice stoicism. Okay, and one of the main principles of stoicism, in fact, I'd even argue that it is the core principle of stoicism, is the ability to stay within your sphere of control. Do not worry about the things you cannot control, because at the end of the day, it doesn't change your life to worry about these things, right? So in that thing, knowing that I do that, knowing that that's something that I try to do, that I've been trying to do for the last maybe year now, I've been really trying to do that and understand that world and fully embrace that. I still have moments, a lot of them, where I find myself consistently worried about things. Right now, I think the thing that I'm most worried about is Oba. Oba being my business. And right now we're at the demand validation phase. And so I'm consistently worried about whether or not that's going to be successful. And successful is such a broad term, but that it's actually going to change things for us in some way, shape, or form. More than anything, what I want is to be able to be independent. I want to be independent financially. I want to be independent just secularly. I want to just be independent. I want to be able to say I don't work for anyone else. I am financially able to take care of my family and not have to worry. I'm not anxious about my job or whether or not I'm going to have one in a week or not, because that's always a thing. And I want so badly for that to change. I was sitting with my wife yesterday and we were talking about how, like, oh, we want to go on vacation. We want to take a vacation. It's like, I haven't actually taken a vacation in years, because either my job has, most of the time, it's mostly just been because of my job. Like, I haven't really been able to, I'm the only person in the position that I'm in. So if I'm not there, it all falls on other people to do my job. And one, I feel bad about that. Two, I constantly worry that if I was to take that time, there would be some level of retaliation in some way. And that's rough. It's tough. And I told my wife, I said, the moment my business does well, our business, because she's my partner, the moment our business is making a profit, I'm taking a vacation. The moment I'm not even taking the profit, the moment our business is at a point where I'm able to work on that full time, I am taking a vacation. Full time, just full on vacation. But sometimes you wake up in the morning and you start thinking about, when before you start going to work. And I'm grateful for the opportunity that I have. And I'm grateful for the things that I'm learning while doing said job. And that's my number one thing that I love about this job is, well, the second thing that I love about this job, but the thing, this is the most important thing that I love about this job is just how much I can learn. I am directly beneath the person who owns the whole thing, who's the CEO of the company. I'm directly beneath them. So getting to watch how they handle things, the questions that they're asking to their employees, the ways that I'm learning equally as much of what not to do as I am what to do. And it's amazing. I'm getting paid to do so. And I'm grateful for that opportunity. At least that's how I'm choosing to look at it, right? That being said, though, I wake up in the morning and I think, man, what if my thing doesn't work? And I know. The entrepreneurial spirit is even if it doesn't work, failures are part of the game. You get back out there and you try something else, and I get that, I do. But sometimes I feel like when people talk about failing and getting back up and failing and getting back up, I feel like it's so much easier to talk about that once you've actually done it. Like once you've achieved the thing you're trying to achieve, and now you're trying to get another business, and now you're trying to get another business or something like that. And then I feel like it's so much easier to talk about failure. But like when you're at the very bottom, right? And you're at the bottom rung of the ladder and you're trying to make that pilgrimage to the top, and you start thinking about failing and getting back up, it's really hard to imagine that. And I'm not saying it's not any harder later, because I'm pretty sure it probably is. But I'm pretty sure failing and losing and things of that nature never get easier. I know that, you have people like Gary Vee talk about like falling in love with the process and all that, and that's great. And I understand that and I respect that. That's perfectly fine. But sometimes it's like, when you're thinking about I am at this job and I don't want to be at this job forever. I want to do my own thing. And then when it's like, okay, we're making the pilgrimage, we're making progress towards this goal. But then you think about, what if it doesn't work? And if it doesn't work, then we have to start back at the bottom. And if we have to start back at the bottom, that's another 2 or 3 years still at this place. If this place even still has me working there for that amount of time. But I'm still here. I'm still struggling. I'm still trying to get there. And the thought of that is hell sometimes. And I'm okay with the lumps. I'm okay with taking the shots. I'm okay with getting the punches and the kicks and falling and scraping of the knees, figuratively speaking, of course. I'm okay with all of those things. It's just a part of me. There's a part of me that just wants it all to be for something. Because it's just like I don't see how you can go through all of it and then it just be for nothing. And I know it's not for nothing, because realistically speaking, you're learning, you're gaining knowledge, you know what not to do, you know how to better do other things. Like, that part I understand, but that's not much of a comfort when you wake up in the morning and you're looking at your bank and your checking account is on, negative $10, or you're looking at your paycheck that you're going to get and you already know that it's already gone before you get it, because you got so many bills to pay, or everything's falling apart in the house that you live in and you can't stand your landlord, but you can't afford to move, and your credit is shit, so you can't really get another place either. And your job is, you enjoy your job to an extent, but you don't like the way you're talked to sometimes or treated sometimes, and you feel like, everything is so fucking hard sometimes. And the idea of this being all there is and all there will ever be is a nightmare sometimes. It's hard. It's really fucking hard to accept that, to deal with that, to look at it that way. So when you look at your business and you're like, oh no, no, this has got to work. I got to make this work. Failure's not an option. This has got to work. It's hard not to look at it that way. And so for me, when we talk about what are you worrying about that you can't change or beyond your control, it is completely beyond my control whether or not my business succeeds or not. Completely. Not completely. Actually, that's inaccurate. It's whether or not the audience that I'm trying to build ever shows up or there's value in what I'm trying to do. That's not completely in my control. And so knowing that it's not completely in my control, knowing that I can't do anything about it beyond just the things that I myself can do, as in, like, I can show up, I can run the ads, I can work on my value proposition, I can build my landing page, I can, guest star on podcasts, I can have a guest on my podcast, I can do all the work necessary, but no matter how much work I do, there's no guarantee that it's going to work. And that reality is just something we have to learn to accept. We have to deal with it, that it could be for not. And I guess the best way to really handle that is to try to answer the second part of the question, in the sense of how can you let it go? The best way to let it go, I think, is to ultimately find the brighter side of things. Finding the good, find the good in it. Find the good in the thing that you feel like you can't control. And for me, so what's the good? What's the good for me? What's the good for you? Because I'm pretty sure that right now you have things that you are worried about. Things that you're things that are on your mind. Things that are a lot for you. Overwhelming. Maybe you feel the same way I do about some of the stuff I'm dealing with, but how do we let that go? I think the best way to let it go is to look at the positive. So for me, the positive is I'm learning how to run a business. I'm learning how to create ads. I'm learning the importance of what certain metrics mean, that I had no idea. Either I didn't know what they were, or I did know what they were, but I didn't know how they actually were used. I'm learning how to interview audiences and speak to the customers that I one day want to serve. I'm learning how to strategize. I'm learning how to build partnerships with other companies. I'm learning how to do so many different things. I'm learning how to read a market and really understand it and the valuable nature of that market. I'm learning. And at the end of the day, I'm going to have a skill set of being able to build a business in the end. So even if this business doesn't work, I'll have that skill set. And that skill set can allow me to go and build another one. And yes, the short-term frustration, the short-term annoyance of, like, all the things that are life, of those things have to go on just a little bit longer while you're trying to build this thing. That's there. But the truth of the matter is, I think gratitude is the best way to deal with things you can't control. Because if I seriously think about it, if I'm going to sit here and talk about all the things that I have a problem with about my life or whatever, I'm going to sit here and I'm also going to talk about the things I'm grateful for within that thing. I'm grateful that I have a family that lives with me, that lives around me in the area that I'm in. Whether I want to move or not, I'm grateful for the family that I have. I'm grateful that I have a supportive wife who supports me and who's my partner in this whole thing and is grinding with me and helping me do this thing. I'm grateful that I have a job when there are so many people out there who don't and who are looking and struggling to get a job, to make a living. I'm grateful that I'm able to do that. A job that also affords me the flexibility to work on my business. I am grateful for my ability to show up every single day, even when I don't feel like it, not just at work, but in life in general. I'm just truly grateful for those things. And accepting that I am grateful for that, I am able to finally say, okay, I think that regardless of what happens, regardless of whether this business is massively successful, modestly successful, or a complete fail, my life could be 1,000,000 times worse, and I am so grateful that it is not. And that I can get to a place where I can do more, do better. One day, the things that I'm striving for will happen if I just keep showing up, if I keep putting in the work, and I keep trying, and not just that, but I keep leveraging the partnerships and the friendships and the networks that I am building, leveraging them and figuring out the best ways to bring them value and gain value. If I continue to do that, I know that inevitably these things will happen for me. I just have to keep pushing. So, what does that mean for you? Well, I guess ultimately it just means that whatever it is you're worried about, whatever it is that's got you feeling anxious and afraid and whatever it may be, stop for a second. Stop for a second and think about all of the positive things that are coming out of it. There's a constant quote I keep hearing. I heard it from Tony Robbins once, and I've heard it from many other people. Life is not happening to you, it is happening for you. Everything that you are going through is, in fact, for your benefit, even if it doesn't feel like it in the moment. All the shit that I feel like I'm dealing with in my life that's hard, that's frustrating, that's whatever, it's for my benefit. It's making me a better human being for the challenges and experiences that are coming, and they are coming. The truth of the matter is if you sit down where you are, right, and you don't do anything, you just remain in your comfort zone and you do nothing, the only thing I can guarantee you is that you will never achieve anything. And at the end of the day, the reason why life is going to still be hard for you, because life is going to be life. That's what it's going to do. Life shows up and life does its job every single day. It never misses a day. Okay. And it's going to show up and it's going to do that. But at the end of the day, you'll never really achieve anything, and life won't put you to the test like it should. But when you start to show up for yourself and you start to feel like, oh man, life is hard. This is hard. This is freaking hard. Everything that I'm trying to do, it always seems to blow up in my face. Everything that I'm trying to make happen, it always seems to never work out. That's because it's testing you. That's because the universe, because God, whatever it is you believe in. I don't know if I believe in God or not. I know that I tend to call my God the universe. And I know that the universe is doing whatever it's doing to me, or giving me opportunities to better myself through experiences. I am stronger, I am wiser, I am smarter, I am better because of what I'm going through. And so are you. So, all that said, whatever it is you are worried about, let's both do our best to try to find the brighter side of it. Find how this is going to benefit me. How is this preparing me for the next thing? And if I'm worried about failing, if I'm worried about what's going to happen when I go to the doctors, if I'm worried about what's going to happen when I go to this trip, if I'm worried about what's going to happen when I meet that person I met online, if I'm worried about that date, if I'm worried about this new job, if I'm worried about anything that I can't control, ask yourself, what is the benefit? What is the benefit that I'm being prepared for here? What's the worst case scenario of what can happen, and how will that benefit me long term? Just a thought. Anyway, thank you for listening to the Mentally Fit Creative Diary. I am your host, and I will be back with you tomorrow.